Hello and welcome to this episode of FinTech Focus TV, brought to you by Harrington Starr, global leaders in financial technology recruitment. Head over to the Harrington Starr website today, where you'll be able to download our brand new documentary, The Era of Convergence, which charts the merger of traditional and decentralized finance. You'll also be able to see our new magazine, The Financial Technologist, with the top 1% Workplace Awards. Enjoy the show, and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome back to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today it is a very exciting one for me because I'm welcoming back someone we had on the show. What was it, Ray? About 18 months, 2 years ago now. It's been a while. I
Right
seem to lose
COVID. So
I lose all track of time when these sort of things come through. But it was a great introduction to meet you. And we've had numerous conversations over the last couple of years as well. And I'm really excited to hear what you're up to and where it goes. You're with Archon Advisors. You're a great celebrity of the fintech world and know one of the most super connected people that I know. But Ray, for people who may have missed that last one or been under a rock and not heard too much about you so far, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to.
Yeah, so I appreciate the celebrity. I think I'm more of a grinder, but I appreciate that. Definitely known as the celebrity face. But 25 plus years traditional Wall Street, basically built Barclays clearing, derivatives clearing business from scratch. Was the risk manager of prime services during the credit crisis. So a pretty deep risk management background. Some of the stuff that I advise on now is what I call the tradigital markets, traditional and digital, getting the optimal between both markets. And there's a large risk management and collateral management component that I've worked on really for the past 3 years. Obviously, that's of import right now. But also I'm working on some, I think, pretty spectacular and very strong potential platforms in the digital asset space. And that's what probably we'll focus on. When I was last here 2 years ago, I think I either introduced or brought to your knowledge Baton Systems, which is doing very well in the space, Inca Digital, which is an analytics and surveillance, which continues to get government contracts and traditional market contracts around the globe. And I've been working for several years for a company called USREM, US Real Estate Market, which we're trying to fractionalize commercial property. And that will get into what we're talking about on digital assets because it is harder than people think. And we hear a lot from various people talking about tokenization, the year of tokenization. Tokenization is the future. And I agree, it is. However, there are some obstacles that need to be overcome. And they're not necessarily technology-wise. There's other obstacles that need to be overcome, including confidence, trust, and things like that. And it's not just an FTX or those type of issues. It's broader than that. So we can certainly talk about that. But I have, since we last spoke, had the opportunity to work with a number of other very exciting startup companies that I think can do cool things and probably appear with you in the upcoming future. So thanks.
I'm looking forward to having on the show. And you're right about those, the companies you mentioned beforehand, that they've been on fantastic journeys over those last couple of years. And it seems you attract yourself to some pretty good folk around that and have got a good eye for the right sort of businesses. And I think it's really interesting what you say about digital assets. Tradigital is how you've coined it. We've recently done our documentary on the convergence of TradFi and DeFi and everything in between. And I think it's very easy to badge the FTX thing as that sort of moment where things have gone up in smoke a little bit for the space. But my view has always been, look, this is only sort of improving the industry and making it more trusted. And you used that word beforehand, which I think is so important to digital assets, that when you can build and grow that trust and you bring some of the traditional financial services background into it, as you've highlighted there, and more people like you are getting involved in all this sort of thing, I think that's where it can really start to take off. So I think this has been a little bit of a false dawn moment in the market where people thought, right, it's here and it's here to stay very quickly. But actually, I think it needed a sort of jolt like we've had recently to be able to build trust and to go back to basics a little bit and put infrastructure in there that allows it to really grow. But there's some really cool companies, as you say in there, and I always love the mystery of this. But you're in stealth mode at the moment with something that's looking pretty exciting and revolutionary that's about to come out the doors pretty hot very soon. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so the company is called Show Me, and our platform or protocol is called Show Me Nexus. And what we are a protocol or last mile connectivity that allows digital assets to move and be transacted, managed in a safe way using your mobile phone. So when I've spoken to some of the leaders of the metaverse, and I'm not a metaverse guy, I'm just the guy that lives in the real world, but people like Animoca Brands, which is Robbie Young, and Sat Yu, what they've said is the way to get full mainstream adoption of digital assets is to have them transacted on the internet. And the way most of us deal on the internet is with our phones. Yes, we do make phone calls, but we spend probably 10% of our time on our phone doing phone calls and 90% doing internet-based stuff. For myself, I have no idea how the internet works. I know there's some technology working underneath my phone and with satellites and all this other type of stuff. I have no idea, but I know what button to hit and I trust it, right? And so I go and I get the sports scores, or I look at the stock market, or I call you in the UK, I'm in the US, right? It's all using a lot of really cool technology, but it's invisible, right? But we trust it. Right now, when you're dealing with any type of digital asset, from cryptocurrencies to NFTs to, in the future, digital securities, i.e. companies issuing stock in tokenized form, which will all happen. Right now, that all happens purely on a digital ecosystem that most people, like 98% of the world, are not comfortable with, don't understand, and are worried about doing it. So when I went to set up my MetaMask, it took me an hour and 45 minutes. I think I'm relatively computer savvy, but I'm not great. I got very frustrated. I felt really stupid and I didn't enjoy it. And it made me not trust it. So I didn't actually follow through and buy the digital asset. And because of that, in the digital space, the digital market, as they try to take digital coupons, digital tokens, NFTs, all these type of stuff, as they try to make those mainstream and used every day, they're precluding 98% of the public, right? Because only people that are doing it, a lot of people are doing crypto, right? But to do crypto and any other digital asset, what is not really talked about is what we like to call it's stovepiped, meaning there's a lot of gatekeepers and the gatekeepers are controlling it. And those gatekeepers make it more complex, more fragmented, and there's fees along the way. So our theory of Show Me, using technology, which I'll talk about, that we have, is that we can basically be the last mile connectivity and take those assets out of the physical world, put it directly in a way that on actually server hardware or browser hardware that you connect with using your phone. The assets don't really sit in your phone, but they are accessible using the technology on your phone. And so I think it is groundbreaking. Personally, I'm a bit biased, but the technology that we are using is patented. It's patented IoT, Internet of Things, an NFC, near field communications technology that has been used for authentication and supply chain management for the past 2 to 3 decades. It's been in work. So the platform that we're using is a peer-to-peer, what we have developed, not using, but the Show Me Nexus platform. And I want you guys to listen carefully because this is important. It's a peer-to-peer payment platform without using any rails. So in order for me to pay you, or if you were running a coffee shop, or if you're running Harrington Star and I owed you a balance, I could pay you directly between 2 phones without anything else, without using credit card rails or without using payment apps. And what that means is that takes out a lot of costs. It creates a lot of efficiencies. Moving it one step further, and I just want to say, this technology that we are using has been used by the US military since 2001. It's called Navy Cash and Marine Cash, 2 sides of the US military. They pay their personnel using a cashless program, which Keith Benson, is the co-founder on this and basically owns these patents, along with our CTO named Christopher Wood. Keith built the platform for the US military and the US Treasury in 1999 and 2000, and it went live in 2001. So this is proven technology that's being used for millions of personnel as we speak. It's fully encrypted, no cash, all this type of stuff. That is the backbone of this technology. What we can then do is we can take any digital asset, digitize cash, digitize coupons, digitize gold, digitize securities, and we can move it around phone to phone on a very safe encrypted hardware. It does not use software. So hardware, and I'm not a cryptography expert, but we have some, we're working with them, it does not get hacked and hasn't been hacked. So in this case, when you own a digital token through the Show Me system, you will own it. You will own the key. We will have no access. And what's happened lately has brought that to light. So this is a very powerful technology that we believe will cause mainstream adoption of digital assets. And I think that's very important because that will make digital assets, digital tokens, which are very exciting, right? And it can do just unlimited amounts of things available to a middle-aged guy like me, right? Who isn't looking to live in the metaverse. You know, I don't feel comfortable in the metaverse, but I do want to get cool coupons. So this technology allows us to do many cool things.
It's. I mean, there's so much to pick out of what you just said there. I'm listening and I'm sort of suppressing a smile as you're talking, because it's just that. Yeah, this is the same sort of curve and evolution that we've seen in digital banking, right? You know, there wasn't a stage where people were immediately comfortable, you know, checking their account or making payments over their phone, for example. And you know, we look at, you know, that moving generationally to now becoming something there where you wouldn't even think of not using your phone or your watch or whatever it may be, your ring to make a payment. And I think, you know, the critical things that you've just spoken about there is infrastructure that's been used and created that sort of trust and shows the ability to be able to do these sort of things, because trust is where it breaks down for digital assets. And that's, you know, in my opinion, and I think that takes a bit of time to, you know, to build up. So I'm very interested in this journey that you're on at the moment, because it absolutely makes sense. Everything you're talking about cost elimination, reduction of friction, about ease of use and UI, et cetera, all of these are exactly what people are looking for, and where we've seen digital technology and digital banking really moving over the last decade at a staggering pace, I say, at the same sort of stage. And I think what we're talking about is inevitable. We are talking about a move to digital assets and it's mainstream adoption that needs businesses like Show Me to be able to move it further forward. But I'm really curious about how that trust is built and how, you know, the mainstream knowledge and adoption and the process of what you've got to do there, because there's lots of good products out there that never really get the airtime or the ability to catch on and get that mass adoption that people are looking for. How do you take this and you know, move from stealth mode and just pre-launch at the moment and make it into something there which does revolutionize the industry, which it definitely has the potential to do?
Right. So Show Me Nexus protocol that's the platform, the protocol. The first two products will be Show Me Cash and Show Me Gold. Show Me Cash is if you go into a merchant that accepts Show Me Cash, you will automatically get a 2.5% cash back immediately. So whatever you buy, that generates customer loyalty. Cards, buy now, pay later, that doesn't generate any desire to want to shop at a specific, you know, coffee shop, pizzeria, or, you know, clothes store. It will do that. At the same time, anytime merchants, and almost every merchant from the biggest to the smallest, they are giving discounts, MDRs, merchant affiliated merchanting discounting. They're doing that. When a merchant gives that out to a Klarna, a firm, a buy now, pay later, or other people, they never have a chance to recover that. However, if they use Show Me Cash and the blockchain that we're using, which we use for ledger purposes more than anything, right? Then they have a chance, our referral program, if they sign Toby up then they will get a referral for putting it through the platform. And that can cause another chance to generate strong revenue. They have to trust, if you're going to use it, if you're going to put money into the Show Me Cash system, you have to trust that it's safe, right? And basically, we will be just like stable coins, Circle, Pax, all this type of stuff. We will be completely audited. The money will go in. It will stay in a custodial account at a bank, at a real bank, and it will stay there. It'll be auditable. People can see that it's there. It's a closed system, right? If you put in $100 and then you spend $50, but you get 2.5% back, so $48.75, I believe, right? Yeah. The $48.75 you'll put in 100, you'll have 100. It will come out, you'll be $48.75 less, but the merchant that basically sold you the item will be up $48.75. It's completely audible, it's completely straightforward, and we'll make sure that it's understandable. It has the opportunity, when you look at the economics that it spins off, to become very, very viral. because people can make money from referral, merchants can make money. And the reality is everyone is saving and they will make much more than this, but just from the starting base, we are disintermediating Visa, MasterCard. You're not paying 2.6% because you're making a direct payment. And all you need is an NFC tag, a tiny little tag that's 20 cents, maybe up to 40 cents, sitting at your cash register or sitting on your phone. And that's all you need. You don't need a POS system or any of this type of stuff. So if you're a local merchant in London, you can just put this on and then you stop paying the 2.6% in transaction fees. That alone is a benefit, right? But yes, we are a disintermediation product. No, I do not believe that we are going to replace Visa or MasterCard or JP Morgan. We can be very successful and have our own little niche. I was in finance for 25, 30 years. For my entire career, I heard we're going to replace Bloomberg. We're going to replace Bloomberg. Bloomberg still has hundreds of thousands of millions of terminals out. We're not replacing the cards, right? We're just providing an opportunity for merchants to basically take cash directly. We are reimagining cash. We are digitizing cash. Cash has gone by the wayside, right? Credit cards came in and then pay applications came. Cash was sort of pushed aside. It was hard to handle. It was expensive. It was dirty. It can get stolen. It can get mugged, right? We replace that because we do it all. It's all on your phone. You don't have to take your wallet out, your actual wallet, those leather things that used to be wallets, right? They were leather and they folded. Right now, wallets have a different connotation, but you don't have to do any of that. If you have kids, you can just put $40 in your kid's phone. You don't have to give them a credit card for them to lose or cash for them to drop on the street. It just goes, it's password protected. You can't get out it. So it's incredibly efficient payment platform, right? And one thing I would like to emphasize, payments are messaging between mobile devices. That's what payments are. And that's what NFC basically governs. It's a huge, major companies get on and set the standards for it. Expat Inc., which is the parent company of an Expat Holdings, which is an Australian company, which are the parent of ShowMe, own patents on all these movements. So anyone that's doing it right now is most likely infringing on these patents, which is a key component and should basically help our business. But it's an important thing going out there in digital assets. We actually, under the ShowMe Nexus protocol framework, we because of the patents and the technology we've built, we believe we're the only entity out there that controls the entire front to back process in paying and creating digital assets. And that's a big thing, right? It's hard to explain on the thing, but if we are correct that people have to go through us, we believe, to basically do digital asset transactions on a phone-to-phone basis. Now, the Nikes of the world, through a company called Artifact, which they bought, which creates digital shoes that are bought in avatars, things like that, we believe they are on our patents. But, that doesn't mean we're going to go stop them. I don't know what we're going to do, but the fact is we would like to just work with them. Right now, we have to launch and come out of stealth and all this type of stuff. And will Nike be our first user? Most likely not. I mean, Nike is very massive and stuff, but our applications are tremendous. So on the ShowMe Cash side, that's really cool. It's doable. We will launch, soon.
So I was just going to echo the fact that it's so wonderfully straightforward, isn't it? I think there's two business models where you've got disrupt and perfect. Those to me are the two go-to markets which you look at. To me, it's almost got both of those under the same umbrella. You're disrupting the industry, but it's also just making it as easy as possible for people to be able to, go about their payments. And when you joke there about leather wallets and cash, I think that the last 2-3 years and what everyone's been through is just completely revolutionized people's relationship with physical cash.
Yes,
and this creates a platform for significantly updated innovation in terms of what can happen and how we can take it further forward. So I think it's a really interesting phase.
Yeah, you're obviously very involved in the space because that's exactly correct. And our deck, which I've sent you, we actually say simple, seamless, secure, and private. And private is really, we don't know who's doing the transactions. We know there was a transaction. We have no idea, right? We don't do any of that. And I know that's a big thing. So in essence, we are, and I want to be clear, we are a digital next-gen debit card, right? Yeah. We don't offer credit, right? If you haven't fed your card with enough money, right, then you can't buy the product using Show Me. That is fine. That means Show Me will be used for some purchases, but not all purchases. People will continue to use credit. People will continue to buy now, pay later. Now, buy now, pay later is having some issues, not only market value and all that type of stuff, but they're having issues with regulators that are people feel are getting people on cliffs. I'm not here to opine on that. All I know is we are a advanced debit card, which is very simple, secure, seamless, and private, right? It's really simple, from your 10-year-old kid up to, your 80-year-old mom and dad, right? It's meant to do that. And we actually, when we were talking about this, we have things like granny crypto, right? Which we're not doing crypto, but granny cards and things like that, where the granny would just go buy a card and the kid would log into Binance or something. But we're not a crypto firm, so I want to be clear on that. But all that stuff is very available. And as you said, we're not going to come up with all the applications. We are the protocol that people sit on, and people put their businesses down onto our protocol. Like they can be as creative as they want to be. Starting to be creative. I don't think this is that creative. Our next project or same product at launch is Show Me Gold. Show Me Gold is digital gold. Now,
this is interesting, right?
Digital gold backed by real gold. In our case, real gold at the Royal Perth Mint. The Royal Perth Mint in Australia is the only gold that is 100% backed by the government. And I know London's got a big gold thing, and I'm not going to define which is better gold. Gold is kind of gold and all this kind of stuff. But for us, part of our company is Australian, right? So Royal Perth Mint works well. So when you come onto our system and buy an ounce of gold, about 1,800 US right now, right? Then we will immediately buy and back that at the Perth Mint. So your gold will be backed by a real asset. We believe this is important for several reasons. One, yes, there are a number of other entities that sell digital gold. However, our technology allows people to manage that gold on their phone without buying it with a credit card. There are others where you buy it with a credit card. Number one, you don't have to do that. You buy it straight. Number two, you can transact and transfer gold phone to phone between me and you costlessly down to a cent a grain. Now, what is a cent a grain? Most of the time you hear about gold in grams. Well, a gram, there's 31.1035 grams in a troy ounce of gold. That's not an integer. I can't do the math, right? There's 480 grains. It's an integer. There's 480 grains in an ounce of gold. So a grain of gold is worth about 38 US right now, right?
Okay.
So a cent a grain, is a hundredth of a grain, is about 3.8 cents. By doing that, we can give the cash back that we talked about. Remember I said, if you pay and Show Me, you get 2.5% back. You can choose to get your cash back. If it's 52 cents, you can choose to get that back in gold rather than cash. Now, I posted a thing on LinkedIn about right before New Year's, looking at the value of gold in US dollars. Had people in the UK bought gold, at the beginning of 2000, obviously the pound, you had that little time where the pound went 1.03 or something like that. But this is very valuable, particularly in areas that have devaluating currencies, right? You'd rather have gold than Bitcoin. And we allow you to get that very easily. So we will have a fully automated. And so I would be able to send you either 3.8 cents worth of gold, $38 worth of gold right now. I would send it to you as either a text message or as an email. You would hit on it. For the first time you're on the Show Me platform, you would log in, right? You would establish your account, and then you would have gold. You would have it in digital form. The value of that gold goes up and down based on spot value at the Royal Perth Mint, which I believe resets every 5 minutes based on the whole gold process.
Right? Wow.
We think this gold is very valuable because it becomes spendable and tradable without the huge expenses. Right now, during the time of the pound, there's, I guess, one of the more well-known gold dealers in London. They were basically selling a gram coin of gold, which was worth 44 pounds for 66 pounds. So the markup was almost 50%. Now, as your size get there, the markup went down to about, 2%. Our markup is not that. If you own Show Me Gold, we guarantee to buy it back at any time at 99% of spot, right? There is no way that you can sell small amounts of gold or even big amounts of gold for 1%. It's just not, it doesn't happen. You pay between 5 and 50% to buy the gold, and you get basically even bigger expenses selling the gold. So the issues with gold is it's cumbersome. You have to insure it. It weighs a lot, all this type of stuff. We eliminate all of that, right? We make gold easily to transact. And we believe there's tremendous amounts of use cases on that also.
And that becomes a pretty compelling proposition, doesn't it? It's so clever. And this is one of the things I love about this show, just hearing people doing things which people just haven't done before and looking at things in different ways. And that we all know there's numerous different ways of people recreating the sort of payment process. And you know, you've spoken about some of them already. And I've had people on the show who are very excited and remain very excited about BNPL. There's people there who will be excited about various other different aspects of doing that. But my firm belief is that with a really strong take on digital assets, there is a friction-free, cost-eliminated, almost democratizing sort of process where everyone wins, and that's a pretty exciting, future to be looking at. Ray, as always with this show, it sort of moves very, very quickly, and I want to make sure there's some things there which I really tap into your experience on, and a lot of that is about your view of the market. At the top of the show, you mentioned there about some of the names that we'd spoken about 2-3 years ago. Who've gone on to do great and wonderful things and really sort of move mountains. What can we expect to see in 2023? We're filming this in the first week back of 2023. It'll probably come out in February by the time this airs. Tell me a little bit about what your predictions are for the year, and tell me who we should be looking out for.
Yeah, so I'm not really a crypto guy. Crypto's not going away. It's important. Obviously, it's very unfortunate. Some of the losses that people had to endure. But crypto is an important asset and will continue to be there. I think the biggest where we need to see bigger advances is in digital assets. And one of the things when we talk about, and I'll just go very quickly, the digital gold is meant to be a prototype of a digital asset backed by real world assets, a traditional thing. Because right now, the digital tokens that have existed, whether they be altcoins, former ICOs, or all this type of stuff, you bought them and they kind of went down. Right.
Yeah.
And the value from a digital token prototype of Show Me Gold is there should be a floor to the value of the token, which should be the spot price of gold because it's back. Yeah. And so I think we believe that once we do that, that will allow the token world to advance. So at USREM, where we were trying to fractionalize and we are fractionalizing commercial properties so people and institutions can buy commercial properties without the gates you're seeing in BREIT and without the huge fees. We originally were expected to tokenize those, right? But we did all this work and we realized the biggest issue we have right now, and this may be a little bit controversial, to have a very strong market, you need a lot of sellers, but you need equal or more amount of buyers. And right now, the issue we have in the digital token and the digital asset world, leaving crypto out, right? But the other tokenization is there's not enough buyers of these tokens because they're confusing, they haven't been successful, all this type of stuff. There's a lot of very nice platforms that are regulated. Archax in London, excellent platform. I'm sure you probably had them on, right? There's 9 or 10, I don't want to name all in the US, right? They've all gotten SEC regulations, FCA in Europe. We want to work with them, right? We want to provide them with trustworthy tokens that are easy to transact. Right now, what I see and working with USREM was people didn't want to buy real estate in tokenized form yet. Why? Too confusing, too hard, not trustworthy. So that's one part of the effort that I've been doing for the past year plus is to create tokens in a way that's trustworthy, which I think is the core of that. I think in terms of overall digital market, there's some firms that I'm working with, and I know there's thousands more. There's a Swiss-based firm. I'm an advisor called CLST. Okay. They are basically providing institutional crypto lending. They have built a platform that looks a bid-ask platform, a market-making platform so people can get in there. Because right now, what I think most people don't know about crypto lending, it's almost all done on Telegram. Like people talk on Telegram and then they say they're done and they go settle and great things don't always happen there. And they're basically related to another company called Instamatch that's also out of Switzerland that is basically, I think, somewhat revolutionizing the money market and short-term lending market. They're working in 23 countries, I believe, maybe more. with both corporate treasuries, large banks, and they're pushing 2-3 billion through a day on an automated system. It's very impressive. So I think that is the way. That's more automation.
Those numbers are staggering, aren't they?
In the scheme of things, this short-term market is massive every day. I just assumed it was very automated when I started talking to these guys a year ago. It's money markets. It's a pretty simple product. It should be very automated. It's not. In the US or in Europe. These guys are doing some phenomenal stuff in the UK, in Switzerland, Malaysia, all this type of stuff. In terms of technology to support digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and I did advise several firms that are now bankrupt that they needed to up their risk management and collateral management games. Some didn't. Not happy that I was right. That's not what I was looking for. But I'm an advisor to a company called Zero Beta. Zero Beta has produced a real-time, both cross-asset platform that allows you to monitor both risk and collateral on a real-time basis in crypto, fixed income, equity, cross-asset. When you have Bloombergs on your desk, you do equity, you do fixed income. To basically say, I'm going to hedge equity with fixed income, it's nearly impossible to do. Yes, if you're sophisticated, if you're D.E. Shaw, Millennium, you probably have people that are building you those systems. But if you're not, and even when I was at Barclays and all this type of stuff, I couldn't do that, right? These guys do some really good things. They're talking to some very important firms. There's another firm called Yala Labs. They're basically, they build infrastructure. They're building some very impressive infrastructure behind the scenes. I don't know if I can say the names, but they're building it for some well-known entities, right? That they are the infrastructure providers. Very impressive. So those are the ones that I think are really key. With Show Me, I am starting to talk to some very cool institutions and various businesses that can do some very cool things. So I believe that my list will get bigger as we go. And I think there's good things going on. I think when you talk about trends, I do believe that what has happened in the past, not just the past 3 months, but the past, 6-7 months, has proven that you may have to give up some revenue and you may have to give up some market valuation in the short term, but you have to basically take the best components of the traditional markets and put them into the digital markets. Vice versa, you have to take the best components of the digital market and put it into the traditional market. That's why I believe I coined, but I don't know, tradigital markets. I don't like digital, it sounds weird, but tradigital, right? Traditional and digital, it's taking the both, because the reality is, for really institutions, institutional accounts, the BlackRocks, the Aberdeens, who has backed our check, I know, and things like that, they need institutional level post-trade. And that is what really the digital and crypto markets really lack. And I've sort of been, Chicken Little, saying you got to do this, got to let it. People didn't seem to want to listen, but you need that. The institutions are not going to come to the ball field, right? The pitch, I believe, is what it's called in the World Cup, right? They're not going to come to the pitch unless they have institutional level, post trade. They can certainly trade. The digital markets provide tremendous trading. They provide better trading, 24/7, all this type of stuff in the traditional markets, right? You can trade very well. They don't have the maturity post-trade.
And this is why you see things like Aberdeen moving into our checks. Goldman's have obviously been investing a lot of money in a number of different businesses around the digital asset space. We termed it in the documentary the Era of Convergence. I think it is that stunning sort of opportunity, and I think that's really going to take off over the course of the next year, and I think it has to, for both markets to really thrive.
So some firms that are doing that, like in the US, Talos, which I'm sure you know, Hidden Road is, I'm not an advisor, but I know some people there, excellent firm. Falcon X is doing a lot of things. So, there are the firms that are getting there, but they need to get there faster. I do believe the Zero Betas, the Yala Labs, the Celeste and stuff, that's one of the reasons I'm working with them to try to get them faster. A couple of cool things that since we last talked. I've only recently, the past couple of months, met a group called Diffuse, DIFFUSE. They basically, I believe they're a digital asset hedge fund, but at the same time, they run a Wednesday networking session. I think it's noon on Wednesdays. It's global, but it's kind of the highlight of my week. I really like them. They just put people on, and it's very intelligent people, and you talk about various things. And I recommend your listeners take a look at that. I've become a charter advisor to TIE, which is the Indian group that's very powerful, very important in terms of education, entrepreneurial education and support. It started in 1992. I think there's 56 chapters globally. I'm involved with the New York chapter. They're doing some tremendous stuff because education is important, mentoring is important. So I think there's a lot of times, so people that my friend Ying and, Ying Chow, I think, and Matt Chung, they started working in FinTech. They're doing some very cool things.
Incredible things,
So there's a lot of cool things going on commercially, but there's a lot of cool things going on educationally and mentoring. And I think that's where we will really get, the market will get to where it needs to be. And there's a lot of those type of things. But, I think the digital market needs to be a little less independent. Everyone likes to work independently. It's called DeFi. But the problem is, and I posted something on LinkedIn yesterday about the importance of mutualized risk. And mutualized risk is important. When an FTX or Celsius or something goes down, when they're doing everything 100%, they're on their own. So if a bigger one, Binance, doesn't come and bail them out, it's over. So you better hope you pick the right one. It's hard to pick the right one.
Especially without the sort of insight of people in the know. I think that this is a classic case of, in the world of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Sort of scenario with this is there's a lot of people who go in there for quick wins, who are following trends and celebrities, etc., etc. Whereas you actually see the real winners as being people who are knowledgeable within the space, and that to me doesn't feel particularly democratized. And I think the more we can do to allow that to happen, the trust builds, and then we have more opportunities within the space as well. And I think a lot of what you're talking about is all heading towards that, about making a really exciting asset class, having the opportunity to be mass adopted, and that's pretty exciting world for me.
Yeah. So everyone working better together. Obviously, everyone wants to basically maximize their revenue and things like that. But there are examples of really in traditional market where they share responsibilities and split risk. And to get to some of that in the digital world would be beneficial. I know there's a big push for DeFi, and DeFi has some advantages, but you are then basically creating a lot of singular things that don't necessarily overlap, and overlapping is not always bad.
Yeah, I think we've seen the necessity for both of those worlds to collide for solid reasons on both sides. There's no one who's more right than the other. But putting the two together, I think, creates a really exciting future, and that to me would certainly be one of the trends that I'd push out to 2023, and it's an exciting one as well, creating lots of opportunities for lots of good companies. Ray, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, and sort of I use the word celebrity at the start, but you're incredibly well networked, incredibly knowledgeable about the space, and I love the fact that you're there and you're sharing that sort of opportunity. So I'm looking forward to listening to Diffuse or getting involved in Diffuse and hearing a bit more about that. Hopefully, people watching will do the same. I'm going to finish the show as I always do. Ray, tell us who should be getting in touch with you at the moment. Who can you help, and how should they get in touch with you?
I think what I can help the most is the easiest way to get is me is LinkedIn, or I'm there, Raymond Kahn, Kahn. I think the opportunity, to be completely honest with you, lives within using the Show Me technology. And I'm not trying to just toot the horn.
Toot that horn.
I just think this technology is the best technology I've ever worked with, right? The technologists, I'm not the technologists, right, are exceptional. And this platform, working with other creative people, can do just really cool things, right? So in the next couple of weeks, I expect to speak to some of the people that I've spoken to, if we're not already working with them. But there's obviously a lot of people that could benefit from this. We want mutually beneficial opportunities. We're not, this is our little domain, and please come and help us, and we keep it all. No, the larger Show Me works, and it really benefits a lot of people. It benefits merchants, it benefits consumers, it benefits blockchain protocols, which we didn't really talk about. We're agnostic. We're using a Hyperledger fabric, but we can use others. And so we have cash applications, we have gold applications, we have cash and gold together applications, and then we have digital applications. They're all using digital technology, right? But they're doing a lot of things. And if we do this right, no one's going to see the technology. It's just, hey, I paid and I got cash back. Hey, I basically signed up Toby and I basically got some referral. Hey, I basically was able to send my friends who just got married, instead of writing them a check or buying them a crock pot, I sent them some gold, which might go up in value. It's all kind of cool stuff. And so,
Yeah.
this isn't necessarily the most technical term. We want to do cool stuff. We want to help people we want to do cool stuff, and we want to help our friends and colleagues do cool stuff.
I think doing the cool stuff is probably the most technical thing I've heard. I'm all with you on that. Ray, absolute pleasure having you on again. Let's not leave it 2 years next time. I'd love to make this a regular thing. I always learn stuff and find out more every time I talk to you. So it's been great having you.
I'm going to come back and send you some gold. You can give me like, a 1 minute spot, like before or after your next guest, whoever that is, and I'll send you guys some gold.
Yeah. I'm all over that. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Right, absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.